Do you guys want to stay seated? You can.
I can come up here by myself, but she's doing half the presentation. Apparently she is going to stay seated. We're doing this.
So Kim, we're getting for
And you can fasten that. I think this is where the tie might come in handy today. How close does it need to be? Does that work?
higher is better. Sure.
Yeah, I could hold it up. That helps. Just going to point out, I'm going to stay standing for you, Kim, just so you know. By the way, Kim's actually my supervisor, so I'm doing a good job for performance reviews here. Anybody ever had that dream, probably a long time ago, where you have a final and you didn't actually sign up for the class? I was realizing before I came up here, I printed this out on Tuesday to write notes in. Didn't. Do have some metrics though I can share later. In any case, so I'm Mark Ashione, I'm not Kim Taylor, who is the superhero of the group. We can go to the next slide. We do want to share a couple of our best practices we've had through our innovation experience that hope we can foster a good discussion either during this time or these afternoon breakout sessions and really get an idea of how to make our crowdsourcing efforts the best across the federal government as a group. So we're going to talk about our background real briefly and then go into two of our real centerpieces. Our communication plan, which actually neither of us really work on. It's our communication expert who can't be here today. And our challenge checklist before we talk about our future focused. So down to the next one. Yeah. You can go one more, there you go. All right, so we started this 5 years ago. Kim and I actually both went to the same internal workshop with the Partnership for Public Service and walked out with the exact same thing written down, crowdsourcing. So from March 2013 to June 2014, and that's how long it took to actually do the research, find the platform, find customers, find money, all that stuff before we actually launched our first challenge. We went out and really talked to a lot of the other innovators out there. So we may have talked to some of you here in the room. If I don't recognize you, my apologies. It's been a while. We built an internal program. Our goal was to take this group of people, this is actually FDA employees, for whatever reason we're willing to stand in the shape of a heart, and get them to engage more. It's a typical federal agency. It's a typical science-based federal agency. You know, you can feel the culture kind of suck out of you as soon as you walk in the doors. We wanted to try to change that little by little. So our goals here were to drive that engagement and really try to involve people in the process and essentially expand the minds that are working on problems the leadership's facing. So this is an internal program. We focus on what we call challenges. So a challenge for us will be a set of campaigns, a set of questions that have a short life to them. Everything's planned around this one big campaign for each client that we really try to bring out the best ideas for them. We found that we really do rely on our preparation and our checklist. We work closely with our clients to talk about what are you trying to achieve. Are you looking for quality of ideas? Are you looking for a specific try to solve the problem? Are you looking to engage your staff? So we'll have a lot of offices look internal. How do we improve on our employee viewpoint surveys? How do we actually do better as an office? So in challenges like that, it's not necessarily about the ideas as much as it's about getting everybody engaged. So the story behind our 80% engagement rate, we started with our own office. We were doing a challenge, and I think we was meeting with Matt and Tim and saying, you know, we want to set an incentive if we reach 80%. We're going to actually give people a 1 hour early dismissal. They laughed at us. Now granted, it is a smaller group. At the time, there was only about 37 people in it, but we were able to get 35 out of 37 people to actively participate. And we've been able to replicate that across a few of the challenges since then. Kim will go a little bit more into that as we go through the presentation.
So speaking of loser management, what did you do to those 2 people? You're gonna answer that.
Well, they have to stay away.
Legally, my attorney advised me not to answer that question, so yeah, we'll talk about that privately. We can jump to the next slide. So we'll get into the communication plan, go to the next one. So a couple things here. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. There is a lot of emails that go around in any federal agency, and it's the same with the FDA. If you announce a challenge, chances are no one saw the email. Like, you can't just say, look, we announced it, I don't know why people aren't participating. And we've seen, and we'll go through how we plan it all out, but we've seen that every time we send out an email, have it part of our presentation, flyers go up, we see a spike in participation. So it's about, and one of the things we learned in that communication workshop was people need to hear the message 6 times, 6 different ways. So it's finding ways to keep engaging, and that's why we get this, one of my favorite images we use across our platform. Pay attention to me. We were looking to make a disruptive, somewhat disruptive platform here, that it's different from what people normally do, and we wanted to get in their face a little bit. We don't want to be too normal, that's swatting us away, but we do want to have that aspect of communication that we don't go away until the challenge is over. You can get the next one, Matt. So the process we go through is we start by learning our audience. Who are we trying to reach with this challenge? And that's going to depend on the executive and what they're looking for. It could be the entire center. It could be a specific office. It could be serious staff within offices. Once we understand that audience, it's about finding what channels exist. Some of them have internal newsletters that go on a weekly basis. One of our more innovative offices, their director sends out a weekly letter saying, here's what's going on in our office. They have weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings that they can talk to people and staff. We have town halls, newsletters, we have display screens, and we have walls where people walk by that we can put flyers up on. We've even gone so far as to actually put things up on the doors and hand flyers out to people just to make sure they're listening to us. The reason why we learn about those challenges, those audiences, as we develop the plan, is how do we engage not only the sponsor to put the message out there, but also the frontline manager. So, you have someone talking about it from an office director standpoint. Can we also get the immediate supervisors talking about with their staff and say, listen, this is important. Our director is looking for this information. Let's make sure that we participate in this. How can we best leverage the channels that currently exist to make sure that message is getting through and people are aware of it? Another part of it to also talk about is the communication doesn't end when the challenge ends. There's the post-challenge, the aspect, what were the results? What are we doing with the ideas? And we'll get into this also later in the presentation. Months, years down the line, how has this impacted the agency? Finally, is creating materials. We do have a communication specialist that's active within our team that helps develop emails, writes newsletters, tries to make it as simple as possible for the executives to actually make sure they're doing all this communication. So we try to put a message out there that will encourage people to do it. With some of them, we'll include, here's some of the top ideas that people are talking about. Thank you for already participating. Let's get out there and see what else we can talk about. We'll create flyers and work really hard. Another member of our team, Ariana, thanks Ariana, does a lot of work also in developing and putting together good graphic visualizations that try to draw people in. And then finally, it's just executing that, and that's where we make sure that we follow that plan and stay on top of people as we go through it. So I'll pass it off to Kim to talk about the challenge checklist.
Oh, no.
Oh, do you have a question?
No. I'm saving mine for the end.
Yeah, so I do want to give a shout out to Ariana. She joined us last year, and she's been instrumental in keeping this going because this is really not our day job, but it's something we're really passionate about. So we've made it last, I think, for what, 3-4 years now,
yeah.
5 years now. So this is not rocket science. This is, this is so. When you look at this, you're going to see this is so simple, and it is. Can you go to the next slide? Sorry. but it's taken us so long to get to a really simple process, and it's so easy now. Somebody comes to us and says, we want to do a challenge. We sit down and we talk to them. What do you want out of this? How do you want to do this? Why are you doing this? What are you going to get out of this? And if we don't think that it's a ripe challenge idea, we suggest that they maybe do a survey, or we turn them somewhere else. But if we do, then bam, we move right into this. And it is so simple, it is formulaic, and we make it really, really easy for them. And I think that is part of the secret to our success. So the things that are critical that we get down in these conversations with people that want to do a challenge, aside from the questions, which are also critical, are who's your sponsor? Who's your target audience? Who's the moderator? What is our incentive? And when are you going to run this challenge? And I'm going to talk about each of these things individually. Can you move to the next slide? Thanks. So the first thing is the executive sponsor. The executive sponsors have the authority and the desire to take action. So they can't just be a pretty face. They have to care. They have to want to know the information that they're going to get from this challenge, or they have to be willing to consider the ideas that they're going to get from this challenge. So we need somebody that actually cares, or they want to engage their staff. They want to make their staff think, hey, I'm looking into this. We're going to move forward on something. So it's usually a senior level executive. It has to be somebody that everybody knows, that's in the target audience. And it has to be somebody, like I said, that's actively seeking input from staff on a specific topic. And they have to have the authority to take action. They can't be asking a question about something that somebody else supervises. So you have to have a person that everyone knows has the authority to do something with this information. And of course, like I said, they have to be well known to the target audience. Okay, can we move on? Thanks. Target audience. So who is your target audience? We don't want to blast the whole center with multiple challenges that they don't really care about or that doesn't affect them. So sometimes it is the whole center. Depends on the challenge topic. And sometimes it's like when we did our 40-person challenge with our office. They have to be directly impacted by the challenge topic. They have to give a damn. They have to want to see change. They have to want to have enough knowledge about the challenge topic to make the challenge useful. Why are you going to ask them questions if you know they don't have any good answers? Now sometimes we do challenges with staff that we know aren't going to be that into it. So we have to provide a really good incentive to make them participate. And sometimes we have no incentive because the idea is we just ran one on our travel process. People were so pissed off. Everyone that has ever traveled participated. I mean, it was bam, 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 bam. There was no incentive. And I mean, it was like we lit a fire. Seriously.
90% participation?
No. That's right.
So I mean, that one of the trouble is the target audience is about 5,000 people. So it ended up being about 3 or 4, but we had 145 people participate. So.
But not a lot of people travel in our center, right? So like I swear everybody that travels frequently was right up on in there. Multiple responses, like heated exchanges back and forth. So it was good. So yeah, so they should care enough to be motivated to participate, but sometimes we have to like dangle the incentive in front of them. Next slide. The target audience, moderators. So moderators should be subject matter experts. So they are not the senior executive. The senior executive does not have time to be moderating these challenges, but there's somebody that works with the senior executive and that understands the challenge topic. So what we ask moderators to do is they get emails every time an idea comes in, every time a comment goes in. We ask them to respond to every single comment. And every single idea, I should say, even if it's just to say, hey, thanks for participating, because people will know that somebody's listening. But the other thing we ask them to do is, if somebody submits an idea and it's like not very clear, or they want to know more about it, ask more questions. Then use their own knowledge of the subject matter to sort of be a really engaged, interested moderator, and they'll get more out of the challenge if they do that. And they should be well connected with the target audience. So they should be helping us promote the challenge. They should be telling everybody in the target audience that they know, hey, come on, join.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Do you keep a cache of moderators, like in a list of their skills, or how do you keep track of that?
It has to do with the challenge. So usually it's the person that approaches us, hey, we want to do this challenge, and then they're usually the person that's moderating it, or the team. We have like switch off days.
Yeah.
And the other thing they should be doing, as we are as well, is looking for inappropriate content or whatever. We've had one instance where we considered taking an idea down and we ended up not doing it. But as Mark said, the audience, Science audience, they don't get too crazy in terms of their
It's
posting. So
self-regulated,
it's self-regulated too.
we've
Yeah.
seen that a lot.
And of course, the anonymous, the fact that you can participate anonymously in an organization where there are a lot of introverts is huge. And so we really make that part of our communication plan. Because to know that you can submit an idea and not have your name out there, people love that. And we're also able to, like, if they win the challenge, we can email them via the tool and say, hey, you won. Do you want to reveal yourselves to us or to CDER? And they'll say yes or no, and we go from there. But that's huge. And I would say, 40% or so contribute
Yeah,
anonymously?
like
We should get our metrics on that. We haven't. Yes.
Is there an expectation that's communicated to those who win? For instance, if they submit an idea that's a winning solution to some problem, is there an expectation that they be a part of implementing that solution then?
We've tried that. When I get to is incentives next slide, maybe? Yeah. So early on, we had a lot of best idea wins an incentive. And yes, we did bring a few people on to help develop the idea. Recently, we've done more participation incentives. But yes, we have tried that too. And we should go back to that, I think, in future challenges. So we had, if you win, you get this award, and you get to have coffee with the executive sponsor, and you get to sort of talk to them about your idea and try to help them think through it a little bit more. But yeah, so incentives are huge. And it encourages the type of participation desired. If we're looking for everybody to have a say about a topic, we want an incentive like a 1-hour early dismissal. And it's so funny because half of CDER, again, has use or lose at the end of the year. They're desperately trying to get rid of but yet 1-hour early dismissal is I can't wait. It's fascinating psychologically, but it works. And it's something we can do without any paperwork, right? We just get the supervisor's approval and there we go. We do also 4 or 8-hour time off awards for best ideas. So we'll say, hey, if you the 4 best ideas, we'll get a 4 or 8-hour time off award, and we will do the paperwork for that. And we lay out very carefully what the criteria is for the winning ideas. So usually it's not the most votes because somebody submits at the end of the challenge are not going to have a lot of votes, but that might be one of the criteria. So we make it very transparent how we are evaluating these ideas. So yeah, individual rewards when quality is preferred. We always prefer quality, but we also want participation. So group rewards when broad engagement is desired. So we've also had face-offs. If there are multiple offices in our target audience, we'll say the office with the highest participation rate will get the 1 hour. So it's sort of like a little friendly competition. And then in our communications, we'll say, hey, this office is ahead, this office is close behind. And then, we can kind of get them to the finish line that way.
Have you noticed any results when you communicated that? Have you noticed any jump in maybe some of the groups that you're
Absolutely.
doing as well?
Yeah, and then we've switched. We've had ones ahead, and then somebody else will come.
Yep.
I gotta
So that's
ask
helpful
one other
too.
one, sorry.
Yeah.
You give out a quality award, so which idea has the best quality? Is that
Well,
what
it's
you
the best ideas.
The best
So, and we usually don't do just one. We usually do 3 or
Usually
4.
top 3, and then
because-
sometimes it expands to 5 depending on what the sponsor thinks.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's what we mean by quality. Yes.
Yes. Question on the anonymous part of it, because we get some questions about that. And you're collecting everybody's emails, so it's not like we know who you are, even though the outside may not know who you are.
Well, we don't ever look at what person is associated with the ideas. We may have to look at all the emails to say what offices are they from. So we know this office is ahead. So we know that all these people participated. We don't know if they voted, commented, what their idea is. I guess we could, but we don't.
But don't each idea
that.
have a person associated with it?
Yeah, so it's
It
actually
says community member.
This is a really difficult problem to solve. We've been over this a lot over the years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because when we communicate to people, we try to say, look, we're going to hide your identity, but we still need to know who you are to authenticate.
Right.
So we have this
So I just want to make sure when I'm
tricky situation.
explaining it to people, because we get that question, I don't feel comfortable saying it's anonymous, because it's really
I
not.
don't use that word actually. Yeah.
I mean, for me, I could easily find people on the outside may
Yeah.
not know who you are,
Yeah.
but those of us who are running it can easily put you to your idea.
Yeah, we usually recommend in the communication, hey, look, this isn't anonymous in the traditional sense where we hide everything, because again, we need to authenticate you.
Right.
But we can hide your identity.
To the people on the outside. Yeah.
Now you tell us, Rob.
Yeah.
Now you tell us.
Yeah, we had a conversation on a totally other different project about the difference between confidential and anonymous and their
Yeah.
technical
Yeah.
definitions. So we
Yeah.
probably should update
But
that
if it is
language.
At least 3 layers deep. I mean, you really have to do some clicking to correlate that number.
And it would have to be
And you have to have
us.
special access.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So it
I
would,
mean, it's-
yeah.
Maybe we're confusing it, like, oh, if I pull up an Excel spreadsheet, it's gonna have the name, the idea. Like,
Yeah,
is
that's
there a
what they're
way?
saying, yeah.
But only administrators can get that spreadsheet. The
Yeah.
the rest of the community
Okay.
cannot.
Yeah.
But if they submit anonymously, I know it says community member and I can't see their name.
Right.
next
All right, so
to
maybe we don't
it.
really use that.
We
language.
talk later.
This is an interesting discussion because if they're already gonna be recognized for winning an idea if they win, then why would it?
Because if they win, they get 4 hours off. They don't necessarily have to reveal their name. So it's not, so yes, one of the awards may be, hey, you're announced in one of our newsletters, but you don't have to be. If you want to remain anonymous, you can be. But there's always something else.
It actually happens quite a bit, that you email and say, hey, really great idea, do you want me to give your boss your name? Say no or yes.
Yeah, we've never had a winner say they didn't want to be recognized. I think they just told people go to the site and see their, yeah, I don't know how what it is, but if they, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
I guess you notice when Bob in accounting isn't in the office for 4 hours.
Right. Fair enough.
I don't know, I never go to the office. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, he's 1 year away from retirement,
Yeah.
according to Mark. So yeah, like I said, this is our repeatable product, right? This is like what we do every challenge. I mean, we tinker with it a little bit depending, but this is our repeatable process. The one thing we don't have a slide on is like the development of the questions. I think that's really important. You know, from crowdsourcing ourselves, when we did research before we started this, like we understood that the questions should be really specific. They should be asking something specific, because if you ask a really broad question, people think, oh, you're just asking us to ask us. And they should be understandable. And then we never do more than 4 or 5 questions, ever, because that's just too many and it muddies the waters. And it should always be related to a single topic. So our challenges are usually related to the single topic. I think there's
Yeah,
one more
one
slide
more,
for me, sorry. Timing, so that's the other thing. We almost always do 2-week challenges. That's what we recommend to the people that come to us and want to do a challenge. We always give them the option to extend a week based on participation. They may have crazy great participation and they just want to keep it going, or they may not be having a great participation and we want to try some other communication techniques, so we extend it a week. We always try to avoid any weeks with holidays in them. You know, government employees, they just take the whole week off. So, and then like late summer weeks, like late July, August, we completely pretty much shut down. And we really like that the moderator and the sponsor be available during most of the challenge, because if the sponsor is sending out all these emails, hey, participate in the challenge, and like most people know that she's in Jamaica, it doesn't work that way. So that's the other important point. Yes.
Did you pick the 2-week period arbitrarily, or have you noticed a difference in the response rate? Like, we've normally done like month-long challenges,
Okay.
so, or comment period, so do you notice that there's more?
Yes, we did start arbitrarily. We found that most participation happens at the end, regardless of how long it is. So we've done month-long, we've done 1 week, we've done 2 weeks. Our logic behind 2 weeks, I mean, first we want to have that finality. Our logic behind 2 weeks is if people aren't participating when they're there over the course of the month, they're not going to participate. So let's keep it short, let's keep it focused. And then why not just 1 week? Because there's a chance someone's on vacation for a full week. Over a 2-week period, people are likely there. But we want to have it a much more focused and kind of try to build energy under it, which can patter out a little bit more over the course of a month.
See, if I'm told that I have a month to do something, I'm sure I can do it, really. I'm like until the very last day if I get another reminder. 2 weeks, there's a little bit more chance. I'm a little bit like, oh, you know, I probably should do this the next few days kind of thing. So we're getting behind that psychology. And honestly, when we did these interviews with other federal innovators, I felt like the ones that were not doing open innovation, the ones that were doing short challenges,
Yeah.
most of them did it for 2 weeks. So we started with that and we haven't changed. Anyway, I'm going to turn it back over to Mark now.
You can go a couple slides down.
We have another question.
Oh, go
Sorry.
ahead.
This is kind of technical, but do you have many contractors, and can you do the same incentives like the 59 minutes off with contractors?
So this is only open to people with FDA email addresses, which do actually
That would be
include contractors. But they're never part of our target audience. We've never made them part of our target audience. They may receive the same emails, but that's not, I mean, we may go there in the future, and that's something Mark's going to talk about now, but yeah. I don't know the answer to that question, sorry.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Approximately how many challenges are you all running over a year?
So Mark has our Vanity Metrics right here. So.
So we've been running since 2014. We've run 21 challenges so far. So about 5.
So far?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got a couple other we're working on now. So we typically probably get about 4 or 5 a year. So it varies because the summer people go away, and it comes in peaks and valleys. Like there'll be times people are like, why are you talking to us? And then we'll have 6 different people from the same office saying, we really want to do this, guys. It's like, okay.
We'd like to do more, but we're a small program, and honestly, like I said, this is not our job. We just do this. So we're trying to grow the program and get more people involved, but it's hard to make it work when you have other jobs to do. So, go ahead.
I do start to wonder if we have campaign after campaign after campaign from like idea scale that people might,
Get tired.
yeah,
That's true.
like, oh, here we go, another.
That's true, and that's why we try to only do like one CDER-wide challenge per year. We try to limit that, but then the target audiences will differ for different challenges, so it's not the same people that are being bombarded over and over again. Yes.
Do you align with the federal employee viewpoint survey objectives at all? Like, so thinking about metrics, let's say, have you noticed since implementing these kinds of crowdsourcing functions internally to your staff that you've noted an increase at all? Or have you asked that question of HR to see how the uptick is? And the reason I ask is because, you know, internal communication and collaboration and innovation is such a big pillar of employee engagement too, so this is interesting.
So it has gone up. I can't say for sure it's because of this. I mean, and that's our concern with the EVS, is it's done once a year. We don't get the results usually until we're getting ready to take the next one, at which point we don't even remember what we were thinking at that point. So we're, you know, Mike, you were talking about gathering data, and that's one of the areas we're trying to figure out, is like, how can we get an engagement type metric more readily available to us? So
You
we're
probably use that for.
Yeah, we could use idea scale, we could use, there's a lot of different ways we can go into it, but we
But if we
want
go down, right, and it's, you know what I mean, because there's so many other things going on, then you don't always want to tie yourself to it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But one thing we have done, and I think Mark mentioned this, if a particular office has terrible EVS scores, we'll say, hey, maybe you want to consider running a challenge and figure, because the scores are so broad, like you can't really understand what's happening in your office just from the scores. You can understand there's an issue, but you may not know what that issue is. So you could run a challenge over the parts of the score of the survey that you did not do well. So.
My last question is co-located offices, groups, teams, or not? Are they all over the place?
Most of them are White Oak, so same spot.
So they work together and they're collaborating on this platform together
Yeah.
versus different?
Right. Well, we have a big campus, and there are like multiple buildings, but yeah, we're all in the same place for the most part.
No problem. So real quick, last slide here, or last couple of slides. Our Achilles heel right now, and I think Matt and Tim would agree with us on this, where we need to focus our future on is what happens after we finish the challenge. I think an area that we want to do a much better job is this part, the leaders review and take action, and how do we show that so that people don't see it just going in a black box, but work with them to actually take the ideas, plan for what we're going to do with the ideas, and go through the implementation aspect. Our staff is program evaluation implementation, so it does fit into our wheelhouse. But right now our focus has been getting challenges out there and getting the ideas in. One area we certainly want to get stronger about is how do we take that a step further. We're also looking into doing a public-facing platform. So how do we engage patients? We have a huge part of one of our reauthorization packages back 5 years ago was patient-focused drug development. And that involved now I think 24 plus public engaged meetings. There's actually an article on it yesterday where we've brought patients to campus to have broad discussions about what it's like to live with that disease, treatment options and whatnot. We believe this tool can help expand that and really get the patient voice and making it easier for them to do it. So that's another area we're looking to
And we have a
expand
PRA
into.
exemption for that, so it's like perfect. But
And then finally, before we get, you can go to the last slide, but just the numbers, 21 challenges, 768 ideas, over 11,000 votes, 1,300 comments, 2,171 participants, 1,400 of those being unique participants. We've got about, the participation rates are a little bit skewy because some of them we say 5,000 people are our target audience, but about 60% of the audience participates, 6%. Audiences less than 500, we see almost a third of them participating. And then the most we ever had for a challenge was 370 participants, which was actually the Take 10, where we were having a process about cutting 10 minutes off every meeting, which wasn't very popular, but the challenge was. Most ideas we ever got in one was 119 about going green, and then our highest rate was 95%, 35 out of 37 people for our office and one of our challenges a few years ago.
Another question. I think it was what you said earlier in the last line, but do you track how many were like prototyped or implemented or?
We do not at this point. We've done some follow-up with them, but taking advantage of the funnel and stages within the ISDL is something we want to do better of. Also potentially even the reviews. You know, if we're looking at having a committee reviewing them, can we make that more public and more transparent?
Yeah. Cool.
Is your organization part of HR?
No.
No.
We're part of
HR.
HR?
Human resources?
No, we are not.
No.
No, we just saw a problem and started working on it. So we came back, we talked to our supervisor immediately afterwards, and then started just pitching it up the chain, and people slowly buy into it, and it continues to grow.
How much time would you say you
Now.
10% a week?
I spend 10%. Ariana might spend a little. I know our communications person spends more than that. Maybe 20. It depends on if there's a challenge live or not, really. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's average number of ideas per challenge, would you say? You said you gave us your high at 190 or whatever.
I could try to do the math in my head here.
Because I think that's actually not a vanity metric. When you're like, it's one of this design thinking thing, like how much, you throw enough at the wall, you're going to get a couple of it.
Sure.
35 about.
Yeah, I think, 30, when I see around 30, I'm like, okay, well, this one is going to be good.
Yeah.
Pump it up to there, I'm like, oh.
We're the same way, and that average goes up because of the 119 we got from the Green Challenge, and there was another one for our pharmacy student program that had about 70, 80 ideas that bumped it up. That one, so the staff that runs that program actually took their crowdsourcing effort to a pharmacy convention and talked about how they use crowdsourcing to expand the program. So it was actually pretty cool to see someone else talking about it.
How do you all determine what's a good idea? Do you have the voting functionality, like you utilize?
So, I mean, it's up to the sponsor, really. So if the challenge incentive is based around best ideas, we'll have them lay out criteria before the challenge. This is how we're going to evaluate the ideas. It's usually not. Sometimes it's sort of tied to voting, but not really, because as I was saying, if you submit an idea on the last day, you're not going to have a lot of votes. So it's not fair to discount that person's idea. See what I mean? Like, so people are going into the challenge for a 2-week period and they're voting up or down. And if you submit this great idea on the last day, not that many people will see it. So it's really, the criteria are usually not really necessarily related to that. I think that's one of the things you guys are struggling with too. Of trying to, so.
That FEBS question, any of those employee survey challenges, it's really right ground because so many of those surveys, we have two, we have FEBS and we have this DOCS, and so many that answer the questions just lead to nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, how well do you trust, you can have like really great scores and then one question, like, how well do you trust your leadership? And they'll mark hello. I'm like, what's that even mean? And leadership's like, what the hell? Like, what?
And what does leadership mean? Like, who? What leadership? Trump? Or I mean, it's like,
hey, you got a mark on here. Let's do a deeper dive. How might we increase trust or what?
Our office director last year sponsored a visualization challenge for the results from the EVS scores. Who could do the best one? Our staff was the only one who submitted one, so we won. So it's like, okay, there's going to be a prize this year. We won again because we're the only ones who submitted. So it's good for at least one of us. But the point is, there's not much you can do with it, and that's why we're trying to find more reoccurring ways to pull and get that pulse from people, because this data takes so long to get in, and it's huge.
I know, and the visualization was tell a story with our EVS scores, and it was hard. It's hard to
Yeah, there's no
really,
story,
you know,
it's all-
figure out what it means. So.
All right, we're gonna go to the
Sorry.
next one. We can. Thank you guys so much.
Right.